Whether we like it or not, farming is a 24/7, 365 activity. There's no part-timers really in this game, and it's hard enough getting away for a break, for a day, for a week, a little bit of holiday. You just got to be out here doing it, because everything carries on, and there's this tendency to feel you just can't stop. Well, the fact is, whatever it's like up here today, and whatever needs keeping an eye on, and whatever needs doing, we're not indispensable. We weren't meant to be. And yeah, the truth is, whatever it throws at us, there are times when we got to be here. But also there are times when we're human, we're not a machine, and we got to switch off and call it a stop. Oh, better for me now. I've managed to get down in a bit of a ditch here and behind this bush. Because, you know, the pressure is on out there in the environment, and I'm getting soaking wet. But I wanted to pick up on this idea really that we need to get that break, because I think a lot of us are struggling with that, particularly in farming, perhaps in the rural communities where the pressure is on for money and everything else, particularly at the moment. You know, I just find it so hard sometimes to stop, take that day off and get that break. And there's always something to do, and that's the trouble. And it's as if God knew that when he started putting things together for the nation of Israel in the first place, because he built sort of stop points into their lives. Every week, stop. One day a week, stop. Don't do any work. He made it a matter of the observance of the faith, if you like, because it was so important about the way he put things in his creation. And it was an imitation of himself, because, you know, we read back in Genesis, there's this pattern there that 6 days God worked, and the seventh day he rested as he was making the whole shebang. And then he passed that on to human beings, and he says, well, you know, one day a week, I stopped, you're going to stop. Time to stop, reflect, and rejuvenate yourself, and take time with God, with his word, with his people. With people, see, it's the thing, it's healing in itself. That day out. But that idea was taken further, because it's not just that you need a day out a week. 3 times a year, some talk about others, festivals as well, but 3 times a year God put these festivals, these stop points, these go somewhere different points into the nation's year, not year, you know, 12 months, right? 3 times a year they were to go out, go away, go out, go up to Jerusalem, and they'd go in a gang, and they'd go and see their old mates, and they'd get together, and they'd have a festival. Better than a holiday, a festival, isn't it? Something going on, you know. Not too good with holidays, got to sit down and do nothing. That's not good. Now, doing stuff up to the festival, that ritual, that discipline of rest put in to human beings' year. Once upon a time in the Soviet Union, they thought they'd get more out of the masses, and they cancelled that 7-day week and a day off. Didn't work out at all well, and they had to go back to it. I see people myself in the course of what I do as a rural chaplain who are not taking that time, that disciplined time to rest regular, and it really can destroy lives and personalities and mental health, relationships. It's a devastatingly destructive thing. And then you get people who tell me that the Christian faith is irrelevant, the Bible's got nothing for them, and it's a lot of old stuff that you don't need to pay any attention to. And it's got things like this in it that are essential to what we need as human beings, the discipline to stop and rest, or come to a bit of a shipwreck with your life. Well, I'm getting back on this quad, and I'm going to go inside and practice this a bit myself with perhaps a cup of tea and a bit of toast. Always a good thing on a day like today. As soon as I can walk these dogs, I'll be back down there. But, you know, it just gives pause for thought, doesn't it? God says in his word what people need to live. And he says, 6 days you shall labour, on the 7th day you shall rest. It will be a Sabbath to the Lord your God. A day set apart, you see. A day set apart for deeper things, bigger things. The rebuilding, the restoring of a person's heart and soul. And I'm going to suggest to you, you might think it's a bit of an old-fashioned idea to be taking your Sundays off. Well, sometimes we can't completely off because they're acts of necessity. Livestock's got to be fed. Taking care of somebody else. Well, sometimes you just got to do that. There's an emergency, somebody needs help. You've got to go for your neighbour and worship, because it's in worshipping God that we get out of ourselves, back to our Creator, get our balance back and restore our soul. There you go. That's my word for the week. Got any thoughts about that? Give it a go in the comments. Love to hear from you.